Welcome to the podcast where today we will discuss Africa, religion, and the cost of progress. Welcome to the show. Today I'm diving into a topic that is sensitive, raw, and honestly long overdue: religion in Africa, and whether it's holding us back. I'm speaking from Kenya, a country where in some towns you'll find a church on every street, sometimes 2 or 3, right next to each other. And it raises a question I've been wrestling with for years. How did we reach a point where houses of worship seem to outnumber schools, industries, and innovation centers? This episode isn't anti-faith. It's pro-progress. It's about asking hard questions that we've avoided for too long. Religion is deeply woven into Africa's identity. From Christianity and Islam to traditional beliefs, faith guides politics, culture, family, and even business decisions. But here's the uncomfortable truth many Africans whisper privately. Religion, as practiced today, may be slowing down our economic, social, and even mental development. And I understand why people say that. You can drive through Kenya and see more new churches being built than factories, libraries, or vocational training centers. You see people investing millions into sanctuaries while the nearest school is leaking, underfunded, or overcrowded. And we have to ask, what does that say about our priorities as a society? Let's talk money. Religion is not just spiritual, it's an economic ecosystem. Churches collect tithes, raise funds for buildings, run radio stations, own land, and influence political donations. The problem isn't that churches have money. The problem is how much community money flows into religion compared to education, entrepreneurship, or industry. Imagine if even half of the energy we use for overnight prayers, crusades, and fundraising dinners was redirected toward setting up community tech labs, funding startups, training artisans, building public libraries, or supporting local manufacturers. What kind of country would we have? Because today, too many young people are told to wait on God instead of learning a skill, taking a risk, or starting a business. And that mindset has consequences, real, measurable consequences. Meanwhile, developed nations grew by investing in science, research, engineering, and factories, not in prayer rallies. Faith has a place. But faith without practical action is keeping Africa stuck. Let's move from money to mindset. One of the most dangerous outcomes of extreme religiosity is mental dependency. People are conditioned to look upward for solutions instead of looking around them or within themselves. How many times have you seen families sell their belongings to attend healing meetings? How many people stop medication because a pastor told them they are already cured? How many elections across Africa are influenced by religious leaders telling people how to vote? Religion shapes how we think. But when thinking becomes surrender, when questioning becomes taboo, when critical thinking becomes lack of faith, then we stop evolving. And progress demands questioning. Progress demands curiosity. Progress demands bold minds, not fearful ones. Here's another contradiction we don't talk about. Africa is one of the most religious continents on Earth. Yet we also face some of the highest levels of corruption, inequality, unemployment, and poor governance. How can the most prayerful societies also struggle the most? Shouldn't our overflowing churches translate into overflowing integrity, justice, and prosperity? This mismatch tells us something. Our religious culture is growing, but our ethical culture is not. Because ethics do not come from shouting amen. They come from accountability, discipline, education, and strong institutions. Now let me be fair. Religion isn't entirely negative. Churches run schools, hospitals, rehabilitation centers, and charity programs. They provide community, belonging, structure, and emotional support. But the issue is scale. The issue is balance. The issue is priorities. Africa doesn't need to abandon religion. But we urgently need to transform how we practice it. Here's what I believe. Faith should inspire innovation, not replace it. Churches should build minds, not just buildings. Prayer should walk hand in hand with planning. And religious leaders should be accountable, transparent, and socially responsible. If religion is going to remain powerful, and it will, then it must become part of the solution, not part of the stagnation. As I wrap up, I want to make one thing clear. This conversation is not about disrespecting anyone's beliefs. It's about challenging our continent to look in the mirror. Because Africa is talented. Africa is young. Africa is creative. Africa is rich in potential. But potential means nothing when a society is mentally locked, economically drained, and afraid to question sacred systems. So here's the challenge I leave you with today. If your religion isn't making your community smarter, stronger, and more innovative, then it's not helping you progress. And if we want to see Africa rise, truly rise, then we must start investing more in skills than sermons, more in schools than sanctuaries, and more in factories than fundraising crusades. Thank you for listening. Share this episode with someone who needs this conversation. Let's keep pushing Africa forward, with courage, with clarity, and yes, even with faith, but faith backed by action. Until next